of Cooking with Kainos. I'm here to run you through a nice, quick and easy recipe for chocolate chip cookies. Now, I did make this for you once before, so if you have tasted it, you know that it is delicious. If you haven't, you can trust me and know that it is delicious and also super easy to make. I don't lie. Now, before we do get started, just a couple of safety notes. If you're not allowed to use an oven or a knife, probably have a parent or a guardian or someone who's old enough to use all of that help you out. You'll only need to use the knife once. That's when you cut up some chocolate, and the oven when you are, preheating and putting in the cookies to bake and taking it out. So if you need, ask for help. Otherwise, let's get started. So what we're going to do first is turn on our oven. If you have a fan-forced oven, we'll put it up to 180 degrees. If you only have a conventional oven, that means that there isn't a fan blowing all the hot air around. We'll turn it up to 200. If you're not sure what kind of oven you have, just ask the person who uses it the most. They'll generally have an idea. So while that's preheating, we're going to line our baking tray. So that's the tray you're going to be cooking the cookies on. So it can be anything like this, as long as it's long and flat and isn't too high up. That just means that there's enough air for the cookies to bake. And a non-stick baking sheet. So there, super easy, can't really go wrong with that. So all we're going to do now, because we don't really need it right now, is just set it aside for later. Cool. Now it's time for the chocolate, which is one of, if not the most important ingredient in chocolate chip cookies. Now for this, you will need 395 grams. It's up to you how you want to break it up, but basically you'd want milk, white, and dark chocolate. I generally put in about 100 grams of white chocolate and then equal parts of the dark and the milk. I tend to use Old Gold a lot, mostly because it's actually quite cheap and it's not bad quality. And for milk chocolate, literally anything that's on special, unless it's white chocolate, which isn't actually chocolate, then just go for the chips. Who cares? You're not fooling anyone. Basically, grab your chocolate and then cut it up, roughly cut it up into like these little chunks. This, actually this is probably too big. Let me cut it again.
2 hours later.
That's done, finally. And when we're done with our chocolate, we also want to set aside 55 grams for later. That's about half a cup, roughly. And in the same bowl as our chocolate chips, we're going to put in 355 grams of flour, or 2 3/4 cup of flour, just spooned in. Now we're going to mix together the rest of our ingredients. Now for this part, I like to use a stand mixer, mostly because I have one and I'm kind of lazy. But feel free to also use a hand electric mixer, or use your hand if you want to. If you don't have any of those, it's completely fine. Use whatever is at your disposal. So in this bowl already is 225 grams of butter, room temperature. So you want something that's softish, but also still firm. So what I did was just I left it out overnight, got it to warm up a little bit. You don't want to melt it, so don't pop it into the microwave, because it's not going to be good. You want it still a little bit cool. And here as well we have 205 grams worth of white sugar, or 1 cup. I use caster sugar, but feel free to use just granulated sugar they put in with your tea or your coffee. And last but not least, about 1 cup, or 225 grams worth of light brown sugar. We're also going to add in 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon baking soda, half a teaspoon baking powder, and about 1/8 of a teaspoon of grated nutmeg. Last but not least, going to add in 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. So then we're just going to tip that into our mixing bowl, mix it on low just to moisten it all together, and then increase it to medium speed until it's all light and fluffy. Now if you're using a hand mixer, it's kind of like the same deal. You just want to keep mixing it until it's light and fluffy. If you're doing it by hand, keep going until you can get it light and fluffy, or when your arms give out.
Five minutes later.
So my mixture is looking nice and smooth and creamy. I'm just going to take it out, scrape down the sides so that everything is incorporated nicely. And once I turn it back on, I'm going to put it back to medium speed and throw in 1 large egg straight from the fridge, so nice and cold still. I'm going to continue mixing it until the mixture is smooth. So the eggs all incorporated. Now I'm going to add my flour and chocolate into that mix and mix on low. Yeah, mix on low until it forms a nice thick dough. Look at that good looking dough. So you want something that looks like that, nice and brown and kind of put together, delicious. Now the most fun part of making cookies, assembling. So what you want to do, grab your baking tray with your sheet, grab your cookie dough, delicious. Those chocolate pieces I don't know if you can see it, you've kept aside, some flaky salt. So if you don't have flaky sea salt at home, that's fine. You can just use like normal table salt. It's really just to add a little bit of flavor. Yeah. And if you're a little bit extra like me, a scale with some baking paper on top. Just so that I know that all my pieces of cookies are the same weight. But if you are normal, just need 2 tablespoons. Kind of going to squish them together so that they kind of like look like this. Which will look something like this, so like I guess almost the palm of your hand. Yeah, like that size. About 1 tablespoon. Then what you want to do, you want to roll it into a ball. So I like to first roll it around and then I kind of like to squish it a little bit. And then just open my palms a little bit and then go round like this. So you get a relatively round ball like this. I'm just going to place it on top. So this is my setup for the cookie assembly. So you'll see with mine, I can only fit about 6 cookies on there comfortably. I'm spacing it out so that when it spreads out, it shouldn't really like come together to make one weird looking double cookie. So now we're going to keep it into those balls, but we're going to grab chocolate piece, place it on top. Now I'm going to pop this into the oven for about 15 minutes, give or take. Now, if you're anything like our household and you won't be able to eat through about like 32 cookies within a couple of days before it goes, not nice, it's really simple. All you have to do is with your leftover dough, roll it up as normal, pop it into those balls, pop it into freezer bags or Ziploc bags, put it in the freezer. It'll last in there for up to 6 months. So when you want to bake it or if you feel like you want some cookies, just take it out of the freezer, have it come up to room temperature or till it's soft again. So like soft all the way through, and then proceed as normal.
Meanwhile... Hey, why are we on TV?
Oh.
It's so weird.
Don't forget to. So the cookies are done. Because we like it a bit chewy here, I've only put it in for about 13.5 minutes. It's just cooling on a cooling rack at the moment. We want to keep it there for about 5 minutes before we want to move it. Once the 5 minutes are done, feel free to chomp right into it or maybe Make yourself a nice cup of tea or a hot chocolate, and just enjoy. And that's it from us. I hope you enjoy your chocolate chip cookies. It's nice and delicious and salty. Let us know if there's anything else that you want us to bake or cook, anything savory or sweet, or another drink or anything. Hit us up in the DMs or in the comment below. But yeah, hope to see you guys again soon.